Welcome to our very first episode of the Chambers Chatter. I'm Shay Chambers-Helms.
And I'm Laura Chambers-Babeles, and we are super excited today to have Nan Brown Sutton here. She is the owner of Lulu Burgess in downtown Beaufort.
And I'm very honored to be your first guest. This is so exciting.
We cannot wait.
Yeah.
So thrilled. Nan, thank you. So Nan, tell us a little bit about yourself and your store.
Okay. Let's see. I moved back. I was in New York City for 16 years, and I came back to Beaufort in 2000 and opened Lulu Burgess. And now I've been there 24 years.
Wow.
Met my husband here. Yeah, I've been in retail on Bay Street for a long time.
I mean, I remember when you opened. That's
Yes.
wild. It's been that long.
And I remember when y'all were like this big.
I can't say I remember the store opening, but I do remember going in there young.
Oh,
Yeah. And I went to school with your mom and dad and, Connie and Bill, and knew your grandfather. Wow. So your grandfather would be so proud.
Oh, thank you.
This.
Thank you.
Yeah.
how'd you come up with the name Lulu?
Burgess. Lulu was a nickname that somebody called me when I was a little girl. And Burgess was my mama's name, and it's my middle name. So they were my two favorite names, so I just stuck them together.
I love that.
And I just made Lulu Burgess.
I love that.
So,
What's been your favorite thing of owning the business since you've opened?
I would say the people.
Yeah.
When I opened, 9/11 happened not long after, so it was a pretty dismal time. And after that, I realized that we needed laughter and humor anymore. So I brought in a lot more humor into the store.
Yeah.
And I know y'all been in there, but so now I have I have serious stuff and I have funny stuff. But it's the best part is to see the more serious people come in and laugh, at the cocktail napkins, or laugh at the cards back in the card corner or something like that. That's the best part for me. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
Okay, so can you tell us about some of your earliest childhood memories in Beaufort?
My earliest childhood memories. Okay. I'm going to say I have so many. Well, I'll go back to when my grandmother had an alteration shop where Old Bull is now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, did y'all know that?
No.
It was called Sally's Alteration Shop. And so Old Bull was in two pieces, right?
Yeah.
And so her alteration shop was on the far right. If you're facing it, it's the far left building.
Okay.
But she had an alteration shop there. And when I was little, I must have been 6, 7, 8, she would give me money to go to Edward's department store. And I would take the money and go to the candy counter.
I love that.
And buy candy. And then back then, the big thing was the Coca-Cola things where you lifted up the lid and you slid the bottle out, and it was a quarter. So she would give me quarters to get a Coca-Cola. She would let me get candy.
So for the people who don't know where Edwards is, where was that?
Is where my store is right now. So where Old Bay Marketplace was the Edwards department store. And believe it or not, it was L-shaped. So that building on Charles Street that's empty now, but it had like a art gallery in it, and that was all Edwards.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So you walked in, went to the back, and it turned to an L shape.
What kind of things were in there?
Oh my God! It was a 5 and dime. So it was like a Woolworths,
Okay.
which maybe Edwards I don't know if Woolworths owned them or not, but so it was a little 5 and dime. We called it a 5 and dime store.
That's so cool.
And we had Belk's department store, which I know y'all don't remember, but and then there was Lipsitz, of course, and Joe Lipsitz with the minor bird in the cage.
I remember that one.
Was he around? Do you remember him?
So we got our ballet shoes.
Where's Joe? Hi, Joe. That minor bird. You would talk to him, and he would talk back to you.
Yes. I vaguely remember that.
Yes. I guess those stores, and then another memory is Coates Grocery.
Oh,
And I don't,
yes.
we're,
I don't remember that.
you don't remember? Okay, so where Urban Market is now.
Oh, yes, they have peanuts, right?
Yeah, well, there was a peanut store before Urban Market, but before that was Coates Grocery.
Okay.
And Pam Coates was my sister's best friend.
Oh, cool.
But they would make boiled peanuts, and they had an old crushed ice machine, and my mother and I would go there. We'd sneak into Coates before Sunday school on Sunday, and we'd get what she would call a pack of nabs. Do you know what a pack of nabs is?
Yes. Yeah, there used to be the
Crackers.
one thing, and
Yeah,
I used
so
to
we
get
would
those
go,
too.
we
Yes.
would get a pack of nabs and a Coca-Cola with crushed ice.
That sounds delightful, honestly.
Or their ices.
Yeah. I hated to see that go. And Jimmy Coates, who ran it for his dad, and after his dad died, went to high school with my brother, Steve Brown. So that was another really great memory. And and y'all don't even know this, but at the corner of Allison Road and Reboat Road, where the hospital building was, there was a little Dairy Queen there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because we lived across the street.
I didn't know that
And
either.
I don't know if it was an actual Dairy Queen. They had the Dairy Nook over at the drive-in.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was an ice cream place on the corner of that block. Yeah. And then there was a drive-in theater on Boundary Street.
On Boundary Street?
Yes. Okay. So if I could tell you exactly where it is now, Buck Morris's gas station, and then there was the Dairy Nook, or it was called the Nook, it's where Moe's is now.
Oh, really?
Moe's and Hilton Garden Inn.
Yeah.
That back place back there was the drive-in.
Oh, cool. And the other one didn't exist.
No, way back. And then up at the front on Boundary was this little ice cream place. So
Oh, cool.
yeah. So it was really cool. Yeah.
So do you have any favorite local traditions or events that you look forward to every year?
Well, yeah, most definitely probably Night on the Town is because it's such a community driven
Yeah.
thing, and I think it brings the community together. So that's probably the one that stands out in my mind the most.
Is there any that you wish were still around?
Yeah. Well, we had way back, and y'all aren't going to remember this, but during the water festival in the parking lot, there was a band shell, a band shell stage,
Oh my gosh.
and it was metal. I mean, your mom and dad will remember this.
Yeah.
But it was metal, and they would have the Miss Beaufort pageants. We
Yes,
had a
'cause
Miss Beaufort.
I've seen the pageant pictures because
Oh, that's so funny.
Lynn was in.
Lynn was, oh my gosh. Well, my father, Ned Brown, would always say that the Pinckney girls were the most beautiful girls in the whole world,
Oh,
so,
that's so fun.
and he would call them revolving beauties, your mother, your aunt.
That's so funny. That's
Because
amazing.
he was the local photographer, and he was quite a character. So I miss that old stuff, the Miss Beaufort pageants.
Yeah.
And when the water festival was happening then, the Commodore's Ball, which now is Saturday night, that would be your grandparents. So your grandfather, they would dress up in coat and tie.
Oh, wow.
They would go and they would have tables and sit down at big round tables. And
Oh, wow.
yeah, it was a whole different time.
And that's river dance now, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
I think so. The Saturday night, it was on
Yeah.
Commodore's Ball was on Saturday night. And so now I guess it's the river dance, maybe. Yeah.
And did Water Festival used to be over where like Foundry is in the Omni?
Where's the Foundry?
The old Kmart area? I
No, I
remember our mom said that it used to be over there like way back in the day.
Oh, it could be.
Maybe before the waterfront park was developed, it was
Yeah.
over there.
And before all that marina, there was like an actual where now that old little day dock is.
Yeah.
There was actually a sand beach there.
Oh, wow.
And so the sunfishes would come up and they'd pull up on the sand, and
Oh,
yeah,
cool.
it was all different. It was all different back then.
That's so
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Who are some of your memorable characters of Beaufort growing up?
Memorable. Well, I guess the one that always stands out is Tutti Frutti. Did y'all ever see him? Did y'all ever
No. I
experience
know.
Tutti Frutti?
No.
Well, he was this wonderful guy. No one knew how old Tootie was, but he never missed a parade.
Oh,
And he was the leader of every parade, and he had a whistle. And he would just march, he would march. He was so proud that he was the head of the parade, and he would blow his whistle.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, he's probably the most memorable character.
What did he do, like, normally? Where did he work?
Well, I don't think he worked anywhere.
Okay.
I don't know that he had a job of sorts. I'd have to ask some of my contemporaries if they remember, but I don't think Tutti Frutti, worked anywhere or had a job or anything.
That's really funny. I've definitely heard the name, though.
Yeah, for sure. What was the first big change or challenge of Beaufort that you remember?
The first big change. Well, I think actually was your grandfather who built the waterfront park. That was a part of our history that was very important, and I think, and my husband said to me, when Henry Chambers did that, he was there at the right time and the right moment, and there was federal grants, and he was in the concrete business, and he brought that and built that waterfront park, and it forever changed Beaufort.
Yeah.
You go up and down the coast, and I don't believe there's another city on the East Coast who has a downtown with a waterfront park on the Intercoastal Waterway.
Oh,
so I
never thought about it in that.
If you think about it in that context, I don't think, because I've tried to go up. I've imagined going up the East Coast, and I really don't think there is another town.
No, I mean, not that I'm aware of
like
either.
that.
Yeah.
But yeah, your grandfather changed. I believe he changed the whole marking of Beaufort. We started out as a port town, and then it kind of died out. But then I believe he brought it back by, putting in the waterfront park. And
yeah.
Was the railroad still in use when you were coming up?
Yeah, there were trains.
There were,
because I remember hearing the train whistles, and and then Yamasee, of course. We drove to Yamasee, which still isn't. But I do remember the trains coming down where our Spanish Moss Trail now was. Was the train track.
Yeah.
So I do remember the trains and hearing the train whistle. So yeah.
And you grew up in that area, on that side of town?
We grew up right next to the Beaufort Memorial Hospital.
Okay.
Yeah. And my dad bought the piece of property from Kate Gleason Park. He bought the piece of property from Kate Gleason in 1945. So we've been living next to the hospital.
Yeah.
In between the hospital and Low Country Tech School is this little tiny piece of property.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
On the water.
Okay.
So it's been in the family for 80 years. And that's where I live now with my husband. So, yeah.
What's something about Beaufort today that would surprise your younger self?
What about Beaufort today that would surprise my younger self? That's a good question.
Any changes or?
Well, my husband reminded me that, just in 2000, we didn't have a city hall and a police department.
Oh, wow.
So, and y'all won't remember this, but our city hall was where Low Country Produce is right now. That used to be the post office. Y'all, it was a post office.
Yeah.
It was our post office.
Yeah.
And then the post office left. And so the city of Beaufort's offices were inside. And when they had city council meetings, it was a little tiny room, like half the size of what we're sitting in. And they had fold up, metal chairs. And
oh, wow.
Only, 15 people would fit in there. And now you look at our beautiful city hall, and people don't remember that. And our police department was downtown, and then they were in a little building downtown. They went somewhere else, and then they were in this little house on Allison Road next to the hospital building. And I'm talking a tiny house. So the fact that we have moved and now have this beautiful city hall, and
it's a big change.
It's a big change, and it was an important change, and I think Beaufort was so deserving of it.
Yeah.
And there were people that balked at the money, and going into debt for it. but I think it was worth every single penny. Yeah.
Oh, I love
Cool.
that.
So-
Me too.
Are there any landmarks or businesses that you wish were still around?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, there was this one restaurant on Boundary Street called the Jarvista.
Jarvista.
Yeah,
Ooh.
Jarvista. And I don't know why I remember it, but it had an A-frame door front, and it was so 50s and 60s, you know. But, you know, we lose that. You know, people now today, they don't want anything to change, and, you know, they want Beaufort to stay the same. Well, you know, we've changed a lot. You
Yeah.
change, you know, and you just have to get over it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that I wish was back. There was, you know, the little grocery stores, like there was a little grocery store at the corner of Charles Street and Boundary, Ma Miller's grocery store. I don't know if y'all remember that. I'm sure you don't. You weren't even born then. But those little places like that, I miss, you know, that we don't have that.
Yeah.
My husband refers to them as Geedunk stores, but they were just these.
Love that.
Geedunk, yeah. That's what they called them, because he lived out at Fripp, and there were Geedunk stores on the way out to Fripp, you know.
Oh, God.
And I had never heard of that until, but you know, you would get penny candy and
Yeah.
things like that. So
Oh, that's so
it
cool.
was so cool.
Yeah.
It was so cool.
I feel like the store downtown across the street from Old Bull is trying to bring back a little bit of that.
Yes, Chapman's Grocery, which is not Chapman's Grocery anymore. It's Bottles Off Bay.
Okay.
I think.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's a tough little, I mean, I think it's wonderful because
Yeah.
people want a little grocery store,
Yeah.
but you got to support it.
Yeah.
You know, you got to make a point to go in there and spend some money.
Right.
Because if you don't support those little local downtown places, they'll go.
Yeah.
They'll leave. So yes, it is a great little, I mean, I was just in there yesterday.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah,
It's so
it's a great
convenient,
little- yeah.
especially for everyone coming
Yeah.
into town.
Yeah. Oh, and remember, we also had a Piggly Wiggly
Oh, yes.
downtown.
Really?
Right behind Old Bay Marketplace, the building where Tabby Place
Tabby.
is right now, was a Piggly Wiggly.
Do you remember that?
I don't remember.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I was like, wow.
No.
That's
Yep.
cool.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Yep.
What do you think makes Beaufort special over other towns? I know you've mentioned a couple of things throughout this, but what are some things that stand out to
Well,
you?
I think what makes Beaufort special is that, one, our history, but that history combined with this environment,
Yeah.
with our locale, with the hundreds of little islands and the water and the intercoastal waterway. I mean, you just can't match that.
Yeah.
I think that's what makes it special, and what drives people here. You know, that the tourists come here. I mean, we've got Parris Island, of course, with our military, which if we didn't have, it would be terrible. But the military, along with this beautiful lowcountry setting, is incomparable. You can't, you know, you drive along Bay Street with that view of those oak trees looking over that river. I mean, that is one iconic
Yeah.
It truly is.
view that, you know, I love it when I see tourists. It's so gorgeous. They'll pull into a parking place, you know, and sometimes they'll pull their chair out and they'll
Yeah.
sit and just look out at the river. We take it for granted
Oh, we do.
because we
Absolutely.
ride by it every day, but it is gorgeous.
It is stunning.
That view. It's a stunning, iconic view there.
Did you ever move away and come back, or have you been here?
Yes, I went to the College of Charleston,
Okay.
and then after that I went to New York City for 16 years
Oh, well, you were there a
to
long
be an
time.
actress.
Oh, what?
Did you not know that?
I didn't know for I love it.
I
Yeah.
could definitely see that though.
I went up there. It's a long story. I got a part in a movie down here, and then I just decided to go to New York City, and I didn't have a job, and I went up to New York City and, you know, lived there and did acting for a little while.
Yeah.
But worked at the UN most of the time. I was the director of catering for the inside of the UN's catering service thing.
Okay.
But yeah, so I was there for 16 years, and then I came back in 2000.
Okay. And what brought you back?
My mom she was dying of cancer, and so I decided that I wanted to spend the rest of her life with her.
Yeah.
So she lasted 3 months. I mean, I had been coming home like twice a year, probably for a few years. But at the end, I came home and I got to be, she lasted 3 months.
Okay.
And then about a month after she passed away, I opened Lulu's. So
That's
yeah.
really special though.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
That.
yeah.
Well, as we kind of wrap things up, what legacy do you hope that your generation is going to leave for Beaufort?
My generation. I don't even think of myself as a generation, I mean, I think of like your grandfather, Henry Chambers, I think, and my father. I think of that generation, that's that's going. We only have just a few left.
Yeah.
And it's funny, and I don't think of myself as having a generation, but I guess we will be a generation. We'll be the old people soon. I mean, I am old, but let's see, what legacy. I don't know. I was on city council for a little while, and I guess just, doing the best that we could to preserve the city and preserve the history, but yet also have some growth. You have to have some growth, I believe.
Absolutely.
But you just have to moderate it and not let it get out of hand. And I think that's probably what we did pretty well, because everything on the outskirts is, Bluffton and Charleston, and
Right.
it's just out of control. But Beaufort has maintained, I believe. Now we're going to grow on the outskirts of 170,
Sure, yeah.
but I believe we've maintained our charm and everything. So
I love that. I
Yeah.
love that. Is there anything that you would tell the younger generation to coming up? Any advice that you would give them, or?
I would just say, don't forget our history.
Yeah. Yeah.
Keep that in the forefront of your mind.
Yeah.
And watch the growth. Just be careful, because it is a very, my dad, my whole entire life called this paradise.
Oh.
And it took me 16 years in New York City and then come back to understand what he meant. And it really is, this is paradise.
It truly is.
So, yeah.
Absolutely stunning.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Nan, thank you so much
You're
for
so
being our
welcome.
first guest on
I'm
the
so
Chambers
ha-
Chatter.
Well, I'm so happy for you two. Y'all are so beautiful and
Thank you.
perfect. And I think this is so exciting, and I wish you luck.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
you're so
we
welcome.
appreciate it.
You're so welcome. Thank you.